I'm Scott Moeller, and in this video what I'm going to do is show you how to transfer the information from your Game Caddie scorecard. That would be the information up here that you've filled out as you've played your match, and put that information, import it into the Game Caddie record book, which is the Access database program that you can use to keep large numbers of records for matches that you've played, and it will give you information on golfer performance as well as how different courses are playing. It's really simple to do. Now I've got a blank scorecard here, but I'm going to actually transfer some real information into my own database that I keep. So to do that, let's assume that you've finished all 18 holes here. Doesn't matter whether you've had one player, two players, three players, or all four players. The process works exactly the same way. All you need to do is come up here to the Export Card button and press on it, which I'm going to do. Now we've got a blank scorecard here, so we're not going to really see anything too impressive. But what you have to do is you have to hide the Game Caddie to be able to see that scorecard. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize the Game Caddie. And what you have now is a scorecard that once we convert, you'll be able to import it into the Access database. Now, again, if this was a real scorecard with information filled out, you'd see data in most of these cells here. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this particular scorecard because I've got a real one I want to use to show you the process. But I did want to make the point that you have to hide the Game Caddie or minimize it or close it out for you to be able to see this once you hit that Export Card button. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. I'm not going to save it. If we were going to save it, we could do that and call it whatever you want to call it for your own records. But let's just get rid of that. Okay, so I want to go to one of the Game Caddie records that I've already got saved, and we'll come over here to Documents, and I've put it into my little APBA folder here, and it's in my all-time greats tournament. And this one here is the one that we want to convert and then import. So I'll double-click on that. And what you'll see now is that scorecard. And I'm going to go ahead and enable editing on this. And this is from match 28 of an all-time great tournament that I'm playing on my own. And these are the four golfers that I had. These are the various scores that occurred, and here are some statistics on how they performed in that round. And that would be the same information that you would see on your scorecard in the Game Caddie as well as when you export it. Okay, now the first thing that we need to do, I'm going to go ahead and change the size of this, and I'm going to get rid of the Game Caddie here so it's out of the way. And what we're going to do, close this down. I'm going to click on File to open up the Caddy conversion tool. Okay. Now, the Caddy conversion tool is another Excel spreadsheet with some macros in it that helps us put this data in the form that we need it so that Access can make sense of it. I've already made sure that each of these golfers is already set up in my Caddy conversion tool. The way that I did that is over here on the Golfer ID tab. I came in here and I gave a code to each of those golfers, and if that code isn't in your Caddy conversion tool, you need to set that up before you attempt to transfer any of the information. And I can show you in a separate video how you go about doing that. But that's already done in this instance, so we'll come back here to Scorecard, which is what this opened up to. I'm going to click on course over here on our exported scorecard, and I want to make sure that I capture this entire worksheet, and we're going to go ahead and copy it. All right, and I'll come back over here, click in the same location as to where I started my selection on this worksheet. I'll right click, and I'm going to select this first paste option, and then that goes ahead and fills in all of the same information that we had over here. The next thing we do is we come over to the tab called Converted, and we need to put in information up here. You'll notice that in this section down here, some of this information is already populated because it's reading it from this scorecard tab, but not all the information is available from that scorecard, and we need to manually enter that. So now what I'm going to do in column B here is I'm going to look for the codes that I assigned for each of these 4 players. So we'll come over here to Worsham. These are alphabetical, so I know it's down here near the bottom. Here's Lou Worsham's code. When I single click on that, you'll notice that it populates under golfer ID for all 18 holes. That's why you see it so many times. Come over to column C, and I need to keep track of the card year because some players have more than one APBA card depending on what season we're looking at. And the one I used was from 1947. So I'm going to go ahead and put that information in. And we're just going to do the same thing for all 4 players here. So come over here, I'll look for Saracen. And let's see, I went past it here. We'll put Gene's name in there. His card year, 1930. Come down to the next one, Doug Sanders. And find his code, all right there. And the year was 1961. And then the last player that we have is Peter Thompson. And we'll come down here. There we go. And his year was 1956. All right. So we've got that information in there. Now, this is a tournament that I set up in the Access database that I'm using, and the tournament number that I assigned to this was number 2. So I'll put that number in there. The match number is number 28. That's what I saved this as. So this is the first round, and it's got 24 foursomes so far. So I'll put the number 28 in here. The match date was, this was played today, and today's date is the 9th of April, so I'll put in 4-9, and the round number, as I just mentioned, is round number 1. Okay, so far so good, and you'll see that all this information down here has been populated, and if we scroll down, you'd see that it'd be more of the same kinds of information. But we're going to scroll over here to the right to this blue to export button, and this is a button that triggers some macros that clears out any data that may be left over from a prior time that I used this Caddy conversion tool. So I'm just going to click on that, and you'll see that it flashes and takes a second or two to clean out the information and to populate it with new information. And now we've got the gold. This is the information that we need to be able to import into the Access database program. So I'm going to select all of this information, and because it's larger than what we've got on the screen here, come down and scroll in 2 directions, and I'm going to press the Shift key and click to select all of that. I'm going to right click in order to copy. So we've got all that information copied. It's up on our clipboard. Now what I need to do is I need to open the export template. That's right. Come down here, click on that, and then we're just going to single click on the golfer ID, the first vacant space there, and then I will right click and we're going to paste using the paste P option, and it takes all that information and puts it in here. Now, what I like to do in order to kind of keep these files straight in my mind and make sure that they don't get mixed up, I'm going to save this with a similar name, but I'm going to add the letter C to it to indicate to me that it's been converted. But what you name these things is entirely up to you. So I'll click on File, I'm going to Save As, and I'm going to put it in my all-time greats folder. And I'll click that to highlight it, and then I'm going to come down here and add that lowercase c so that it saves it as a unique file. Okay, then I can close this out. I don't have to save it any further, just click close. Now this is very important. I'm going to click on the X here to close this out, but do not save this. You don't want to save this information in here because it can make things messy if it's already pre-populated when you open it. So we're going to click on Don't Save. Okay, that all goes away. We can make this go away. We're done with it. We don't need to use it anymore. And I'm not going to save any changes that I made there. That's optional whether you do that or not. And then I've got access minimized down here just for speed. I'm going to bring it up. I've already gone ahead and closed the main menu screen that you would ordinarily see when you start up the Game Caddie record book. And I've also opened the ribbon at the top of the screen and the All Access Objects view. There's a couple things I want to mention. One is that we're going to put the information into this table here, table scorecards. But again, because we've got 4 golfers, we need to make sure that those golfers already exist in table golfers. If they don't, you can go ahead and you can import the data in here and do it later. But in the next video that I do, where I show you how to create the golfer IDs in the Caddy conversion tool, this is the second part of that process. You need to make sure that those golfers are already in here. And if we scrolled through here, we'd be able to find the golfers. So you'll remember that Lou Worsham was one of them. Come down here, you can see that he's already loaded, as are the other 3 golfers. And I'm just going to go ahead and close that out. Now, in order to import the data, what we need to do is come up here to External Data and click on Excel. And over here, we click on Browse and we look for that document that we just created, the 28C. So I know it's in my all-time greats folder. Come up here to that. There it is. Load it into here with a single click. Click Open. And then we come down here and click on the second button. We want to append a copy of the records to a specific table. And the one that we want to use is Table Scorecards. So make sure that that says Table Scorecards in there. We're all set to go. We'll click OK. This gives you a preview of your data. It doesn't contain all of the data, depending on how much you have. But we can eyeball this just to make sure that everything looks good, and it does. We don't even need to click on the rest of the stuff. Just click on Finish, and that data is now imported. There's one other step that we need to do, and we need to come over here to Table Scorecards. And I'm going to double click on that, and then what we want to do is that the way that this works is it imports a lot of blank records in here, and we just want to get rid of those blank records. So we will select all those blank records by clicking on the first one over at the top, which I did on the previous screen, and come down here and hold down the Shift key and click again. You'll notice that all that turns to blue. And we'll come over here to Home and then Delete. And it's going to ask us, do you want to delete 1,872 records? They're all blank. Yes, we do. Click on that, and we can just close this in Access, your table information is saved automatically. You don't have to do that as a separate step. That's it. It's all in there. Now, if we wanted to look at this just to make sure that everything is in there, what we can do is, this was match 28 and the tournament was the all-time greats. So I'm just going to pull up the all-time greats tournament that I'm running right now, and we'll pull up match 28 and see that that information is there, and we can tell it is already because that wouldn't be there if it wasn't. And those are all the records that we just imported. And you can do this in less than 5 minutes, assuming that you've got your golfer IDs and your table golfers configured with all the golfers in advance. All right, I hope you found this video helpful, and in the next video I'll discuss how to get those golfer IDs set up and what you need to do over here in Table Golfers so that everything works properly. Until next time, grip it and rip it.